Hello, I'm Luke Darcy. Welcome to Access All Areas. There were some big winners on the weekend, and of course that always means some very big losers as well, specifically the Carlton Football Club. We'll get to the Blues later on, but Damien Barrett, as I welcome you, the big story that you broke on Thursday night last week is Harry O'Brien. Where is it at the moment, and has he been spotted today at the Magpies?
No, he hasn't, Darcy, and his president, Eddie Maguire, has confirmed that he's not yet back in Victoria, still in far north Queensland. There is some doubt, Darcy, as to how this plays out, despite Collingwood telling us all to take a deep breath. It's a very serious situation. Senior player of the footy club, massive blue with his coach and other officials, walks out on the club, and as it stands right now, this is already a deadline that's been missed by Harry. Nathan Buckley said on this weekend that he wanted to speak to Harry Sunday night, last night, and then have him back at training today. He couldn't guarantee that was going to be the case. Clearly that deadline, if you want to put that in inverted commas, has come and gone, and we are now in a situation where this is very delicate.
So you're saying there is some sort of chance that he may not return ever? Is that a possibility, or can you rule him out for this week for a start?
I think you rule him out for this week for certain. I mean, you're the ex-player. You can't have a player who's now not trained since Monday of last week, effectively. He can't play this week. So you give me that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Rule him out for this week as well. You've then got to sort out what happened. And this was an issue. Harry, as we know, is a man of worldly tastes and worldly views. There was a comment made that had gay connotations in Harry's reflection upon the conversation. That is at the absolute nub of the reason for this blow-up with himself and his coach. There's more to it behind the scenes, as we know, but that was what happened on early last week, and that's why he has walked out of this footy club. And there was certainly a period last week, where he was right in that zone of just not knowing whether he was coming back. All
right, there's the latest on Harry O'Brien. Hasn't returned to training today as expected, and still not sure exactly when that will be the case. Let's move on to the Blues, Damo. How are they travelling at the moment? And let's compare them to last year. Brett Ratton, we know, of course, was sacked. 7-7, more wins. The interesting part that we know, they beat 3 sides in the top 8 this time last year.
Yeah.
Mick Malthouse hasn't had a win against a side in the top 8.
Yeah, it does. Just another little... I mean, that stat there is raw, isn't it? When you look at it, and it's just nowhere near as good as what happened last year. Within those games this year, they've led by 15 points or more in 6 of those 8 losses. You throw it up, it means nothing because they're losing matches, but they've been thereabouts. But Greg Swan has forecast some pretty radical changes now, the CEO of the footy club. I want you to help him here, Gus. What does he need to do? They're good players. They're standout players are 30 plus. You know, Carazzo, Judd, we're dealing with Waite and Scotland. They're all 30 or 30 plus.
Yeah, it's an interesting time because I'm convinced Mick Malthouse wasn't recruited to Carlton to try and rebuild a list. He was there to top up and get them inside the top 4 and push for a premiership. These players have to be at risk, Damo. Start with Nick Daigan and Jeremy Laidler in a bracket.
OK, do they both go?
Well, neither can get a game at the moment. Mick Malthouse hasn't had a history once he's made his mind up, so those two have to be at risk. I rate both of them. I think they'll find a home somewhere else. Hampson and Warnock, they've got 2 big a berth of ruck stocks, and they need to move at least one of those guys on and try and trade out. I'm not sure about Warnock's currency. He'll be heading to his 3rd club if that's the case. Ellard, Curnow and Joseph, too many of the same types. They've got McLean, Armfield, Carazzo. They fit into the same bracket, and I think those 3 would be ones that you would look at for sure. Luke Mitchell was their high-profile key forward that they were going to try and develop. He cannot get a kick in the VFL at the moment. He's a big power forward, kicked a lot of goals in under-18s. There's got to be some worries about his future as well. Marcus Davies, he's 4th year on the list. He's only played 17 games. And he's Scotland's been unbelievable. Best and fairest winner as recently as last year. He's 34 years of age. So, you know, if you're talking about overhauling in the list, they're the ones that are probably in the spotlight at the moment.
The messaging's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you just said there, when Mick Malthouse came, he wasn't here to actually revamp this list. He was there to try and get them into a premiership winning zone. They're not there at us, are they? And the messaging from the club is not that. What do? GWS has got pick 1 on the table.
They need to be aggressive, and I think all clubs, you've got the ability to trade for number 1. There's a young boy running around, Tom Boyd. I go as far back and look what Essendon did to secure Matthew Lloyd. Gave away 3 picks at that stage. People said they were mad. You've got to take a risk to get something good.
Well, how do you get him?
Look, I would be throwing up GWS need a ruckman. You've got to give something really good to get something, and I think Matty Cruiser might be one you'd put on the table. You'd put their own, at this stage, their first pick's going to be pick 8. Maybe you put pick 8 on the table and you throw in a Yaron. I'm plucking names out.
So Cruiser, Yaron, pick 8 for pick 1.
Well, you've got to do something, and to try and deal with GWS, secure young Tom Boyd. The question for me is Mick Malthouse prepared to see this through for 5 or 6 years, or did he have a 3-year strategy and go? But I would get aggressive. I'd try and get this gun young key forward.
Yep.
Hawthorn did it previously to get Luke Hodge. I think it's time they need to be aggressive.
You mentioned Yaron there. He's been the source of some disappointment for Mick Malthouse during the course of 2013. Have a look here, Darcy. He showed some real passion in an exchange of words here with Andrew Cracker.
That's interesting to me, Damo, because the Indigenous boys as a rule have got this unbelievable brother-like relationship. So you rarely see two of the Indigenous boys go at each other. There's a fair bit of heat. Yaron goes and gives Cracker a little bit of a spray. Cracker kicks the goal, and you don't have to be a great lip reader to see that he wants to find Chris Yaron and give him a little one back on the way through. So, look, some great passion in the contest. Not something you see too often. The Indigenous boys often don't like playing on each other because they have got this special relationship, and there you go, a little bit of fireworks, not a bad thing.
Saturday night, Geelong had it again over the Cats, Darcy. This has reached monumental proportions, this psychological edge this club has got over Hawthorn.
Yeah, it's incredible. And if you're a Chris Scott and a Geelong supporter, how about your last quarter to get 3 goals out of Jordan Murdoch was just incredible. That was Jesse Stringer, who came on as a sub and had an influence. Josh Caddy was part of the Ablett deal, young Gold Coast Suns player. This is Murdoch, who... How do they do it? They just
Did you know what Jordan Murdoch looked like before this quarter?
I didn't know what Jesse Stringer looked like. I can promise you that much. But they are just incredible at developing their own players. They don't need first-round draft picks and just find a way. Josh Caddy is a highly talented player. They have got the mental edge over Hawthorn. You can call it the Kennett curse, call it what you like, but Hawthorn don't want to play Geelong.
They were celebrating, as we saw then, on the back of those last quarter goals. So just take a look at Chris Scott, the coach of Geelong in the first quarter, Dust. The stress and the pressure was apparent.
Well, I reckon they had the rough end of the umpiring decisions early. And I love Chris Scott. He's one of my absolute favourites as a player and as a coach because he just gives you pure honesty and emotion. He was beside himself. They were playing beautifully.
He's coaching a team that's lost 2 games by a total of 11 points, Dust. What if he's coaching GWS?
He would kill someone, Scotty, because that's what he's about. This is one of my favourites. The whiteboard's going to get turfed through the back of the box. Poor old Neil Balm up the back there. Balmy thought he was going to wear it. But that's when they're playing well. That's the intensity you get with Chris Scott. He absolutely gives you everything he's got, and I reckon that's a great thing.
Well, that was the first quarter. Later in the game, there was an extraordinary decision played by umpire Schmidt here for a deliberate out of bounds on this kick by James
Worst
Kelly.
Decision of the year, and how you can come up with deliberate out of bounds, Damo, is beside me. I'm staggered by it.
Is that worse than the Nick Malcheski one last
It's got to
week?
go close to it, hasn't it?
Really?
I mean,
that was pretty bad, Dust.
Pretty bad, but if you...
What does Chris Scott think of this one, by the way?
Yeah, about what he thought of the first 3 in the first quarter. By this stage, he's had enough. But they're on the side. If you're thinking it shouldn't be a free kick, then don't pay it, would be my advice to the umpires. I thought they had it right before I went on a little breakdown. They had a great 5 weeks, and now they're back to paying ones you shouldn't pay.
Set shots at Goldust. A couple of incidents where players refused to take them yesterday. Essendon and Port Adelaide. Let's have a look. Melksham first up, and then Monfries after it. But guys who took marks and probably should have gone back for a set shot.
Not sure why this generation think this is a good thing. This is 30 metres out. You go back, you go into your goal-kicking routine. Jakey Melksham thinks that's a good idea. Well, Jake, you leave yourself wide open. Lucky for him, he got the result he was after. And Angus Monfries, Port Adelaide. This is a great game. I watched all of this yesterday. They were coming at this stage, really going beautifully. And Angus thinks, well, I'll go to Stevie J. Not everyone's Stevie J, Angus. Go back, kick a drop punt and just set shots straight through, please.
Brendan Goddard was happy with the win, but not happy with some teammates after the game, Dust.
He's an angry man. Let's have a listen. He just said to Paddy Ryder, mate, the Powerade shower, it's overrated. I've got to lie down and do my warm-up in it. BJ, I'm with you. Not required, and he just decided to tell him what was required.
Lockie Hanson's been really good for North down back, Darcy. He was a forward once upon a time. This is how he kicked for goal back in the old days, Darcy.
That's a clanger.
What's happened here?
Look at Brad Scott's reaction. He's just bemused that you cannot even bring the ball back into play. Lockie's hands on his head tell the story. I like it.
Brent Staker conned the umpire in a way that I think is a little bit embarrassing for the umpire, Darcy. He took a mark played on and then told the umpire no. Yeah, this is where I marked it.
You never ever see an umpire actually told what to do, and Staker said, look, that's it, that's the spot where I'm going to take the kick from. It's a good thing. Hey, Scotty Thompson from the Crows, the celebration gone wrong, Dame. I want to have a quick look at that as well, because how often does this happen? You go the high five and an errant punch in the face. The Crows are having a shocking year, and that just doesn't help things by any stretch of the imagination. Some nice singers from you, Dame. I'll go away for a week, you come back with a bit of humour. It's a good thing. I'm not sure it's your strong point, but we'll get back to the footy. Hey, keep clicking back to afl.com.au. All the big stories on AFL. More news and video, great content throughout the week. Damo, I'll catch you next Monday. Hope you have a good week. That's all for us for now. Goodbye.